Hi, my name is Izzy Justice. I'm the CEO of EQ Mentor, and this past year, 2008, I have probably spoken at 30 different events nationally on generations. I get asked to come and talk about this pretty complex workplace challenge that we now have. There are now 4 generations in the workplace, and by 2010, which is, just a little over a year away now, almost half of the workforce in the U.S. and in North America will be comprised of the Generation Y population. You couple that with the fact that the baby boomers are going to retire in vast numbers in the 2010 decade and beyond, and essentially Generation X is going to be leading a lot of the Generation Y folks. It creates a very unique set of dynamics. You have 4 different cultures, 4 different generations, each one of them with their own values, with their own sense of priorities, what's important to them, lifestyles, their way of communication. The one thing that I often hear a lot of leaders and managers, baby boomers, as well as Generation X folks complaining about is trying to figure out a way to work with the Generation Y population. Again, this Generation Y population is larger than the baby boomer generation, and also they'll be occupying over half of the workforce and growing in 2010 and beyond. So it's really critical that the leaders and the managers, the baby boomers, the Generation X's, figure out ways to work with the Generation Y population. When I listen to people at the baby boomer and the Generation X demographic, the kinds of things that they typically talk about with the Generation Y are things like, well, he showed up for the interview in an earring, or they came to work in their flip-flops. And one of the questions that I always throw back is, well, tell me what the earring has to do with that person's ability to perform. Tell me what the flip-flop has to do with the person's ability to get the job done, to work with other people. Understand that when you talk about earrings or flip-flops or whatever the case may be in your environment, these are values. There's a difference between values and competencies, between values and performance. Values are a very dangerous thing. They're actually very good, but they're unique to each one of us. Be careful not to impose your values on the Generation Y population. By all means, you should have high expectations, high standards, and expectations around performance. But if the job is getting done, it shouldn't matter how they are getting done, or what the person who is getting them done is wearing, or what they are doing with their spare time. So the one thing that you can do as a manager, as a leader, as you work with the Generation Y, is to appreciate, be self-aware of your values, and be careful not to impose them again on the Generation Y population. Focus more on how you can harness them and their wisdom and their experiences, their ability to be tech savvy, to connect with people that you would have never connected with. What are their strengths, and how can you use their strengths to fit into the organizational objectives that you have within your department or within your team? And I think you'll be infinitely more successful by suspending your values, making the distinction between values, and focusing more on the performance criteria for the Generation Y people.